Hey, what's going on, guys? Heads here from Infinity Loops, and welcome back. Today we're going to answer one of your questions that has been fielded to me a couple times now, so I'll address it. What are my top 5 favorite freestyle tricks? So in this video I'll go over those tricks, what they are, how to perform them. I'll even put in some stick cam so you can see exactly how to do it. There are tutorials, or whoop tutorials as we like to call them, that we did last year on a lot of these tricks. I'll try to keep those linked in the top corner as we go, just so you can refer to those if you want a little more help on executing the trick or if you're having any trouble. The first trick we're going to go over is the power loop. I love doing power loops. It's always something that catches people off guard when you go underneath an object and they just start to see sky and they're not really sure what's about to happen next. And when you flick backwards, you get that nice inverted view of everything you just passed, and then you can come back underneath your object. It requires a little bit of skill. It does require some timing more than anything, knowing when to punch back on the throttle to catch yourself and make sure you don't do one of those numbers, the little wobble downs. You want to get a nice smooth arc back into the power loop. I like doing these over canopies at parks or under picnic tables or pavilions. It's fun to even do them over a tree that has some limbs hanging over a little bit, like how I have out in my front yard. I'll power loop that every now and then, and it's pretty satisfying. There we go, nice. This little power loop, you can do a little tighter over things. Those are always fun. And the video for that whoop tutorial can be found right up here, and that was done last year by me. Should give you a pretty good idea of how to practice a power loop if you've never done one before. Even give you a little bit of sim footage so you can see how you want to try to practice the muscle memory in the sim. Moving on from the power loop would be the Matty Flip. That would be my second that I like to do a lot, especially at new locations. It's kind of easy if you know how to do a Matty Flip already. It's kind of easy to do it on new spots and new things. There is not a whole lot of guesswork. You can see what you're getting ready to flip over and under pretty much the whole time. Unlike with a power loop where you have that period of just, I can't see anything until you get upside down. So sometimes you may launch your power loop right into a tree, guilty. You might launch into a railing or a brick wall or your cat or whatever. So there's always that little scary part of a power loop. You don't really have that so much with the Matty Flip. With Matty Flips, you're going to be going up and over an object or point of view or whatever, and looking at it when you come back and you return underneath it, exiting in reverse. Let's try doing that around something we didn't power loop. Let's do it over this guy here. There we go. A little windy, but not bad. Alright, let's see if we can do a little Matty over this. It's going to be tight. Nice. Nice. Again, there's a nice hearty breakdown on that up here you can find if you want a little more detail. The next trick is, well, it's more of two tricks. It's the split S or the Immelmann. The split S is done by rolling and then diving underneath an object, and the Immelmann would be the opposite of that, going up and spinning out of it to fly that way. This is a trick that normally I would use to get myself out of trouble. If I'm flying towards something and I just want to bail and I'm not really sure if I can make it, I can split S and turn my butt around and head back the other direction to try taking my time and take another stab at whatever I was trying to do. The Immelmann I like to use a lot to change floors, to go up and over objects, or again to turn around. It's just kind of a fancy way to do it. It's a good split S. It's a really good split S spot, actually. So you're just going to go over, we're going to split into it, and that's all she wrote. You need to turn around real fast. Use a split S. If you're underneath, low to the ground, use an Immelmann. Come up over the top, and hit the little spin at the top once you get upside down. Really useful tricks though, especially in proximity. If you need to, like I said, you made a little boo-boo and you need to turn around real fast, Split S, Immelmann is the way to go. Not a whole lot of complicated stick movement for that one. Pretty easy stick inputs. Just need to make sure that your stick inputs are done separately. You don't want to try to mix the two of them too much when you get into the dive. You want to be pretty much done rolling already, and vice versa. When you're coming up, you want to be almost completely inverted before you start your roll. Otherwise, things get a little messy and it just doesn't look good. The next trick is one that I first saw Johnny FPV doing a few years ago, and that is the reverse wall ride. I love doing this trick because it is something that's kind of weird to see, especially for the first time if you haven't seen anybody do one. Now, much like the Trippy Spin, the reverse wall ride has a couple different ways you can get into it, and this is all just going to be up to you, whatever feels best for you. Me personally, I like to just fly straight towards the wall, like I'm flying next to it, and then I'll flip over like I'm doing a front flip, and in the middle of my flip, using yaw and my roll, I'll turn myself sideways so that I can fly backwards or drop backwards. Unlike the other tricks in this list, I have not done a tutorial yet for reverse wall rides. We might see one of those in the near future. And last, but definitely not least, the Trippy Spin. Now this is one that I am known to do quite a bit. I do under my tree out front. I like to do the reverse and the roll in the middle of it. I like to do them around myself. I learned this trick early on in my FPV experience, and I just fell in love with it. It's just one of my favorite kind of mind-bending tricks. When you add in the switchback and you can go the opposite direction, it just makes it even crazier looking. I like to do them really low to the ground. It's hard to do them in a whoop. You need to be pretty high on the throttle, but once you nail it the first time in a whoop, it's kind of like when you do it any other time. You just figure out where your thumbs need to be or your sticks need to be exactly, and then it's all just clicks in from there. Trippy spins are done around light poles, trees, stop signs, yourself, anything you can think of, support beams, anything that just stands upright, even things that don't. I like to sometimes do trippy spins really tight and go up through a tunnel or a tube, a dive tube. Several different things you can do with this, and you can tie different tricks into it. I like to do wall taps and then drop down into trippy spins. I like to do half Matties into trippy spins. I like to do full Matty Flips into trippy spins. There's several different combinations. I like to add in a little Rubik's Cube at the very end of a trippy spin. There are plenty of fun combos and things you can come up with once you start getting creative, playing around with all of these tricks, but trippy spins I feel like I have the most fun with for sure. And that ought to tie up the top 5 favorite freestyle tricks. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions whatsoever about anything that I went over today, if anything seems confusing, or maybe you even have some tips that I may have forgotten to mention, please don't hesitate to leave them down below. You can also find our email address in the description down below. Feel free to email me whenever. I'll get back to you as soon as I can if you have any questions or need help with anything. Have fun, go do some new tricks, go explore some new spots, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.